So, Sheba Velasco, thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to show us how to make tamales and to teach us a little bit about your Mayan culture.
My pleasure.
So now you are an Ixil interpreter, which is a Mayan language spoken in Santa Maria Neba in Guatemala.
Yes.
And you specialize in knowledge of Maya culture, including traditional Maya weaving, which we have some here behind you.
Yes.
And you worked in many museums, culture centers, universities all throughout America and in Europe. And most recently you worked for the Smithsonian National Museum of the American Indian in New York and Washington, D.C., right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So what is your personal motivation and interest in sharing Maya culture and heritage? Why have you dedicated so much of your life to this cause?
First of all, I'm a weaver. I learned to weave from my grandma, and as I grew up, my grandma wanted to make sure that I learn our Mayan history. One of them is the weaving. Make sure that we learn to weave so we can make our own outfit, and not also about the language. Make sure that we don't forget our language, and try to, you have to continue to speak your language and weaving because it's part of our culture. And from long story to short story, I end up traveling village to village around 9 years old in Guatemala. And as I go to other villages, as I pass other villages coming from Neba to Guatemala City, I see different outfits and languages, and everybody I think that interest of different things, and for me the weaving is very interesting when I see other outfit, and it doesn't look like mine. It looks so beautiful, and to other villages, other weaver, it's just only a weaving. You can see in here back of me. But to me, it's beautiful. So I'm sure they think about probably the same thing as my repeal, the one that I make here. And culture, like my grandma said, is very important. So that's one of the reasons I end up, weaving. I end up weaving almost all my life, weaving every day, and I've been in America now 33 years, and it's so easy to, for me to leave the culture. And when you go to another country, it's easy to adapt their culture, how they eat, how they work. Why will I make tortillas when you can buy them in packages, or why I'm going to be weaving a repeal that takes 5 months when I can go in Macy and get a shirt and it's cheaper. But if I do that, there's little by little they lose the culture. So I still weave even today.
What can you tell me about the Ixil language? What makes the language so interesting?
Ixil is our native language, so we have to speak it as our language, and it's not a dialect, it's a language, and it's way different than Spanish, and than other languages. So they call people, other villages or in Guatemala, the Latino call my people Ixil, and we speak Ixil.
What do you remember as your favorite parts of life in Guatemala as a child?
Favorite?
Mm-hmm.
There's more than one, but one of them that I miss so much is when I go with my girlfriends and to the cornfield, and when it's time for our dinner, and my grandma tells me, go get the certain vegetable to cook, and corn, and you carry in a basket, and so it's fun to go around in the cornfield, and also when we go to the market, you see a lot of beautiful outfits. The market's full of color, and all kinds of fresh vegetables, and it's a little hard for me now and here because everything is different.
What were your days like as a young girl?
We mostly help my grandma, which is go to the well and get drinking water and something like this, bigger than this, and then to wash clothes by hand and weave and feed the chicken. So there's always chores to do.
You mentioned that you enjoy weaving and that that's part of your cultural heritage. What is your favorite pattern from the Maya weaving that you do?
My favorite pattern?
Pattern.
I like to make the princess. I don't know if you can see it here. And actually there's two, the hummingbird and the princess that I like to make. So I learned, I like the one that I learned from my grandma because it's easier to make than the modern one today. Because the difference is that today they put too many colors, more complicated. It's the same story. And the one my grandma showed me is few colors and very simple. So that's what I like to do. And I always, even though I weave like 4 hours a day, but I'm anxious to do it next day again because I want to know what design, how I'm going to set up the next design.
So today you're making tamales for us. In addition to tamales, what are some traditional Maya dishes or foods? Which is your own personal favorite?
I love the salsa picante, the hot salsa, and the tortilla, of course, and then we make a plate that is called wash bowl in Chile, and it's a green leaves that you put corn flour inside, and you make a special hot salsa, and then you put it on top of the wash bowl. So it's one of my favorite dishes.
What parts of Maya life are being lost that make you sad or unhappy?
There's a lot of parts of the cultures lost today. One of them is the language and the weaving. I travel in Guatemala once a year, and almost each time that I travel it's a little different. When I grew up, I learned again to weave when I was around age like 7, and today I see girls at like 12, 13, and they don't know how to weave or cooking. So there's many things that has been lost, not just weaving, but languages, and it's the custom, how you act and everything.
So you're originally from Santa Maria Neba in Guatemala. Are there some changes there in your hometown?
To be honest, I don't see many things that will make me happy today in Neba. In Neba, I guess when I grew up in Neba, I liked the way it was, like smaller village, and the culture is different. It's nice to have phone and television now, but maybe the television is affecting the little girl instead of taking care of the animals or weaving, and now they are in computer games, even girls, and our TV. So there's a lot of things that I don't like the new day today in Neba.
Do you think that some of the new generation of Maya, born here in the United States, will remember with pride their heritage, or might Maya heritage be lost altogether?
I think both. And when we talk about cultures, not just Guatemala, but so many countries that comes here in America. Thank God for America, but sometimes we take advantage. Everything is like easy, and like again, like there's nothing wrong to learn new things, but to remember, where we come from. And I see young Mayan kids here that is way changed than the kids in Neba. In Neba, I mean, they start late weaving or cooking, but they still do it. They still speak Ishil and do things by hand. Or their mom doesn't have to tell them to help around. They know they're supposed to help around, chores. And here, as many kids don't do chores. They visit their friends or they hang around together. And so it's still way different than the Mayan kids in Neba, in the United States.
So Maya are famous for being storytellers. Did you learn some stories when you were young?
Yes. One of them is the weaving, the story in the weaving. And like my grandfather, how they grew up, they do different things, stories. My grandfather was archaeology. Like he find old things like clay dishes, old things that has been buried under the ground. And so when he talk about his journey, when he goes to other villages, past the jungle, what he meet, because I'm very interested when he tells story about the jaguars and all kinds of animals we never see in Neba, because Neba is in the mountains, so we don't have jaguars or like quetzal, which is the national birds of Guatemala. So they mostly talk about things that happen, and we don't know a lot of story about other country because we don't have television, so we don't know what's going on in other country. As I grew up, I think that Guatemala is the only country in the whole world, or Neba. I don't even know what Guatemala City is. So I think that Neba is the only place in the whole world. And the first time when I see American people in my village, I got a little scared because they don't look like us. They're tall and they end up taking a picture of me. And I remember one day I was hiding behind my grandma. My grandma told me, "Don't be scared. They're just taking pictures." But we're way different. And I really like, later on I looked at their hair. I really liked it. I remember one day I went to the cornfield and got the corn hair and I put in my hair. I want my hair to be like that too. So there's a lot of things that I can share, but so many stories.
What can non-Maya do to help with your cause? Are there any Maya organizations in the United States that help preserve Maya heritage?
Some, not much. Mostly like me, they're presenting culture to preserve our cultures. But like other country, like United Nations, other country that helps a lot about the Mayan, they end up giving them yarns or anything for the women to continue weaving.